Shalom, this is Yair Davidiy speaking to you from the land of Israel. I represent Brit-Am, an organisation that finds the lost 10 tribes amongst Western nations. We find the lost 10 tribes amongst Western nations. There were 12 tribes of Israel. The 12 tribes of Israel divided into two different sections. The northern section was taken away by the Assyrians, and they were exiled, and they lost consciousness, they lost awareness of who they were. They lost remembrance of their ancestry. They became known as lost 10 tribes of Israel, and we have traced them to Western nations. And that is, we find them amongst Western peoples. We find them amongst certain Western nations. We find them amongst the peoples of Finland, of Sweden, of Norway, Denmark, Holland, Belgium, Switzerland, France, Britain, that is England, Wales, Ireland, Scotland, Northern Ireland, also in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, the USA, Canada, and so on. That is where the lost 10 tribes are. We don't say that everyone there belongs to lost 10 tribes. We don't say that everyone there is descended from Israel, but we say that is where the lost 10 tribes are. That is a starting point. That is where the lost 10 tribes are to be searched for. That is where we have found them, according to the Bible, according to secular evidence, archaeology, linguistics, mythology, historical records, every field that has something to say about it. We have researched and we found evidence supporting this understanding that lost 10 tribes are amongst those peoples, and especially biblical sources. And this is what we do. This is what we believe in. This is where the lost 10 tribes are, and there is no doubt about it. The only questions are, how can we affirm the information? How can we bring more proofs to the subject? How can we show that the proofs all come together at this one point? And how can we get more and more people interested in it, or at least aware of what we are saying and what evidence exists? And this is important in our time, because it is what has to be done. We believe in 3 R's. 3 R's. The 3 R's are research, researching the subject; recognition, bringing the evidence, bringing the proofs, bringing the findings to the awareness of the public; and reconciliation, beginning a reconciliation, that is an agreement, an understanding, a better feeling between the Jewish people, that is Judah, according to the Bible, and between the lost 10 tribes. And an important step in doing this is to show everyone who everyone is, who they are, to bring the evidence to the awareness of those who should be interested in it. Now we have a phenomenon that other peoples who we don't believe are descended from lost 10 tribes also claim to belong, also claim to be descended from Israelites. And it could be that some among them really are descended from Jews or from people from lost 10 tribes. Only the Bible does not seem to relate to them, or the evidence does not support them. But it could be that somehow the Israelites did get to those areas and intermix with them. But they are not the main subjects. They are not who the Bible tells us to concentrate upon. But it's worth examining every claim and judging people in a positive light. There could be something there, there may or may not be something there, but whatever the case, their claims should not detract from the reality. Also, we have the Jews. We also have the Jews. The Jews are descended from Judah. The Jews are Judah, according to the Bible. This cannot be contradicted. This is the truth. This is what the Bible says. But there are people who make claims against the Jews, saying they're not really Jews. A lot of them are descendants of converts, of other peoples who came in. All kinds of stories and inventions, or here and there, there even may be some truth in it. There's nothing necessarily wrong with such phenomena, with such things happening or having happened. The most important point, as far as we're concerned, is the Bible says that the Jews are Judah, and the lost 10 tribes are the peoples in the West. And against this, we have peoples making counterclaims, contradictory claims. We have Afro-Americans claiming that they're both Judah and from the lost 10 tribes, they're all of Israel. We have people from Burma, tribesmen claiming to be from the lost 10 tribes to be Manasseh. We have patterns of Afghanistan, the claims are being made in their name, and they also make claims. We have people in the Pacific Islands who also have claims made about them being from the lost tribes of Israel. We have the Cherokee Indians, We have people from India, German Lutherans. We have all kinds of people all making claims like this, and they interfere with what we are trying to say, to show the world, or to show the Jews, and to show the people concerned who the lost 10 tribes are and where they are found. And as we said, the Bible confirms both concerning Judah and concerning lost 10 tribes who they are. So that is what we're going to talk about. We're going to list proofs concerning both Judah, the Jewish people, and the lost 10 tribes. And we're going to give the sources. And in other talks we will go into these proofs in more detail. But at present, that is, we're just going to give an outline and list the sources concerning this subject. Now, it should be remembered that there were 12 tribes of Israel. When the tribes divided, 2 of the tribes, Judah and Benjamin, remained in the south. And the other tribes were in the north. And you also had the tribe of Levi, which was scattered amongst all of the tribes. And the task of Levi was to serve in the temple and to teach people Torah and to officiate in religious affairs. But the king of the northern separate entity of Israel, of the 10 tribes, decided to worship golden calves and to set up other people, non-Levites, as priests, and he more or less demoted them, so they all came to the south. They all moved into Judah. And so in Judah you had another tribe, you had the tribe of Levi. So there you had Levi and you had Benjamin and Judah amongst the Jewish people. And also you had refugees as a minority element from the northern kingdom, from the 10 tribes, who also later on, or even in the course of those events, came to attach themselves to Judah. So that in Judah, in effect, you have elements from all of the tribes, but the tribe of Judah is predominant. After him comes Benjamin, after him Levi, and after him the other tribes. But at all events, this is significant. It helps us to understand certain biblical passages. So it's worth knowing. Now, concerning Judah, that is the Jewish people, being Judah according to the Bible. How do we know that this is how it is? Changes have not taken place, as is sometimes claimed. Usually by people who have an agenda against the Jews or against the Jews. Some Palestinians sometimes want to claim that the Jews of today are not the real Jews of the past, and therefore they have no claim on the Holy Land. And there are others for all different reasons, sometimes nefarious reasons, wicked reasons, evil reasons, want to hurt the Jewish people. And also make claims like this, but there may also be cases where the people making such claims against Judah are genuinely mistaken. Whatever. This is what we have. This is how proofs we have concerning Judah being the Jewish people, according to the Bible. We have the verses saying that Judah, indicating that Judah will always be recognizable as Jewish. That is, there will never be a time when the Jews lose their identity, lose consciousness of who they are. Concerning the 10 tribes, we do have such verses saying the opposite. The 10 tribes will forget who they are, will lose the awareness of their ancestry, and only in the end times will it be made known to them, and after that they will eventually reunite or re-acknowledge their ancestry. But according to Judah, we have verses indicating that Judah will always know who he is. Judah will always know that they are Jewish. See Genesis 49:10, where it says that the scepter, in Hebrew the shevet, the staff of tribal awareness will never depart from Judah. That is in Genesis 49:10. We also have Isaiah 49:2-1 describing the Jews as not being willing or being reluctant to recognize the lost 10 tribes when the lost 10 tribes return, because they had always been alone. They had always been the only people recognized as being Israelites, and they had had to suffer because of that. See Isaiah 49:21. Also Zechariah 8:23. We also find that Judah will have been persecuted. It says Zechariah 1:15, Zechariah 8:13, Isaiah chapter 53, Isaiah 42:10, and Psalm 44:22. Judah will have been persecuted, and the Jewish people have been persecuted for being the Judah, for being adherents of the religion of Judah, which is how the Bible describes it and commands the Jewish people, an Israelite nation, when they know who they are. It commands them how to behave, and this is what the Jews have been doing. They have been true to the faith as far as acknowledging that they have such obligations and they are who they are. Also says that Judah will have been scattered all over the world. See Isaiah 11:12, Midrash Breshet Rabbah 73:5. What do we mean scattered all over the world? Because there are verses such as we said in Isaiah 11:12 and also Midrashim and also commentaries that say that the Jews will be scattered all over the earth, whereas the lost 10 tribes will be together in one area or in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 areas close by each other. The lost 10 tribes will not be scattered all over the earth, even though paradoxically they will have forgotten who they are. The Jews will not have forgotten who they are, but they will be scattered, and that is what we find. We find Jews all over the earth. We also says that Judah will have kept the 4 fasts. We have 4 fasts in the year, which are mourning over the destruction of the temple. 4 distinct periods or days in certain Hebrew months, that when the Jews mourn over the destruction of the temple. And Zechariah 8:19 says the Jews will do that. The Jews will continue to keep the 4 fasts until the time of the Messiah, when these fasts will be turned into times of happiness. And we have not yet reached that age. And until this day, the Jews still keep those fasts. It also says that Judah will keep the law. See Psalm 69, 108:90, Genesis 49:10, Zechariah 8:2-3. Judah will always keep the law. Judah will keep the law, and Judah does keep the law. Doesn't mean that Jews are necessarily religious. Not all of them keep Shabbat. Not all of them act as they should do. But they do not deny it. They keep the basic commandments. They keep Brit Milah, circumcision, Yom Kippur. Many of them in Israel keep kosher, eat kosher food, and most of them at some time or other go to synagogues and pray together with fellow Jews. And they do not deny that they belong to the community of Israel that keeps the law, and in addition to that, quite a significant percentage do keep all of the commandments as much as they can. They do keep all the laws as much as they can, and they are quite a large minority. It is true it's a minority, but it's a good section of the population endeavour all the time to keep all of the commandments. This is one of the significant traits of Judah in our times. Also says that the Levites, as we said, the Levites will be with Judah, and the Levites have characteristics of their own, and the Levites will always, it is indicated in Deuteronomy 17, the Levites will always have the power, the ability to decide how the laws should be decided. Look it up in Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 9 and 12. Judah will have the law, will keep the law, but the deciding national decisions, it is indicated that Levi, people from the tribe of Levi, will be making the actual decisions when matters of controversy arise. Not that Levi will make all of the decisions, but they will have an aptitude for being able to do this. And this is what we find. We find amongst religious Jews and rabbis that those rabbis who know how the law should be decided or manage to understand it to the necessary depth in that direction, they're often Levites or Kohens from the tribe of Levi. And this is what was indicated by the prophecy, by the Bible, and this is what we find. And we find this people, these Levites amongst Judah. So this, in its own way, proves to Judah that the Jews are Jews. Because the Bible says that all the Levites went to Judah, and we find Levites now amongst the Jews, and not amongst other people. They are Jews. So that proves who the Jews are. Also, it proves who the Levites are. See 2 Chronicles 11, verse 13, verse 14. 2 Chronicles 13:9. Deuteronomy 17, 8-9. Malachi 2, 4-7. Jeremiah 33, 17-21 on this matter. It also says that Judah in the end times will be known as Israel, because technically, very often in the Bible, we have Judah and Israel juxtaposed, whereas Judah is the name given to the Jews, and Israel is the name given to the 10 tribes. But we also have a prophecy that in the end times, in Isaiah 48:1, Judah will start to call himself Israel, and that is what we find in the state of Israel. The state of Israel, most of the Jews, most of the Israelites in Israel belong to the entity of Judah, but they call themselves Israel after the state of Israel, and this is what was prophesied, and this is what we find. It also says that Judah will become an old new nation, an old line and a young line. As we find that is what the state of Israel now is. It is both an older nation. The Jews have been around for thousands of years. They were existed and continue to exist. Now they return to their land, and they are like both an old line and a new line at one and the same time, which is how they are described in Genesis 49:9. Incidentally, Stephen Collins, our friend, he pointed this interesting fact, observation out to us. It also says in the place of exile, when Judah was alone, Judah will have been defenseless, Judah will have been unable to sufficiently to practically speaking defend himself, though this will change in the end time. This is what we find. Historically, the Jews were scattered all over the earth. They were persecuted by other people, and whilst they were in the places of exile, they were defenseless. They did not succeed very often in sufficiently being able to defend themselves, and they suffered because of it. So this is what was described, how Judah would suffer in their places of exile, as we find in Isaiah 1:7, that Judah will not be able to use weapons in his own defense, except for when he returns to the land towards the end times, this will change. So we have all these attributes concerning with Judah, and we find them fulfilled in the Jewish people. Now, concerning the lost 10 tribes, that is very nice. What about the lost 10 tribes? The lost 10 tribes are altogether different. They had an altogether different task in the world to come. They had an altogether different task in this world, what they had to do. They had lost. The lost 10 tribes had lost consciousness, had lost awareness of where they came from. The lost 10 tribes had lost awareness of where they came from and of who they were, or who they are. They're not aware of their ancestry. They're not aware of their biblical Hebraic forebears. They're not aware of once having being obligated by the commandments. A lot of things they're not aware of, but nevertheless they were fulfilling a task in world history, and there was a reason for them having lost awareness of who they were, because God Almighty wanted them to go down to the level of the nations, of the Gentiles, of the heathen, and to evolve upwards and bring the rest of the world with them. And that is what they in effect have done. They have civilized humanity. And that was part of their task, and that was why they became who they were, and that was why they became lost. But the time has come for them to become found, to be revealed to them who they are. So we have they had different characteristics because they had different tasks to fulfill, a different historical purpose. Well, it says the lost 10 tribes will be at the ends, that is, continental extremities, such as Australia, New Zealand, Scandinavia, France, the British Isles, North America. They are all at the continental extremities of the earth, and most of the peoples we identify as having lost 10 tribes amongst them, or being lost 10 tribes, are at the continental extremities of the earth. See Isaiah 24:16, 26:15, 41:8-9, 43:6, 49:6. It also says the lost 10 tribes will be mainly to the north and west of the land of Israel, see Isaiah 49:12. And that they will be an ethnic group whose members will be related to each other, recognise each other, and they will be found at one and the same time in concrete groupings to the north, to the northwest, and to the southeast of the land of Israel. Isaiah 49:12, and that's what we find. We find descendants of Israelites amongst Australia and New Zealand to the southeast. We also found them to the northwest of the land of Israel in the British Isles and North America. We also find them to the north in Scandinavia, and we find them to the south in South Africa. And this is only ethnic groups that fulfill this criteria. It also says the lost 10 tribes will be both in the isles of the sea, and they will be associated with Tarshish, meaning the Atlantic Ocean. That is what it says. It also says that the lost 10 tribes will historically have been the most wealthy and powerful of all nations. See Numbers 24, 8-9. They will have been a civilizing and humanizing influence on other peoples. Genesis 12, 2-3, 18, 18-19, 22-18. The last 10 tribes will have ruled the seas, and they will have been considered the policemen of the globe, which is what Britain and America have done, and they still do to some degree. In the past, also Holland and France played a similar role. In Isaiah 42:10, Numbers 24, 7-9, Deuteronomy 33:29, Jeremiah 51:20, Zechariah 10:7, Micah 5:8. The 10 tribes will have controlled the gateways of their enemies, meaning the most important international strategic points. See Genesis 22:17, 24:60. The lost 10 tribes will comprise several different nations, many of whom will be ruled by hereditary monarchs. They will be separate from Judah. Isaiah 11, 12-13. They will be without their identity. Their identity will not have been known to Judah. See Isaiah 49, 13-14. Hosea 1-7. And they shall have been associated with non-Israelite Gentile peoples and have federated with them, as Hosea in chapter 1, verses 3-6 tells us. And we have a lot more identifying points like this, and putting them all together, we find that the only grouping in the world which fulfills all of these identifying points at one and the same time are those peoples who are connected to the English-speaking nations and their kin in Scandinavia, in France, in Holland, and overseas. That they are the only people who have all of these points coming together for them. And they are the lost tribes of Israel, and the Jews of Judah, and the lost 10 tribes of Israel and the Jews of Judah should come together and reunite as is described in the prophecy of Ezekiel chapter 37, the 2 sticks joining and being united. Now, we don't have to do this today. This is not something for individuals to get up and do. It is something that will be done when the time comes by the community as a whole. But in the meantime, it is important that this knowledge be made known to them. That is the beginning. That is what has to be done. Others have to know about this, and the people concerned have to also know about it and to be convinced about it and to learn it and to internalize it, because this is what has to be done in our time. May the Lord God of Israel bless you. Thank you.